Regular meeting of the Caroline County Planning Commission for June 22nd, 2023 will come to order, please. I invite everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. By way of introductions, to my far left is Mr. J.D. Young of the Reedy Church District. To my left is Dr. Carol Horton and Vice Chair of Port Royal. To my right is Mr. Purcell Minor of the Mattaponi District. To his right, Mr. George Weaver, representing Madison. And on the far end, Mr. Richard Williams of Western Caroline. I am Bob Schwartz, representing the Bowling Green District. We are joined by Mr. Craig Pennington, our county planner. We are pleased to have Mr. Mike Fincham, our present director of planning, and our future director of planning, Mr. Leon Hughes. We have Mr. Cody Shanahan and Mr. John Voigt handling our audio and video, and we appreciate that. With the permission of my fellow commissioners, I'd like to call Mr. Fincham to the podium, please. Mr. Fincham.
Yes.
This is your last appearance as a member of the Caroline County Planning District. As outgoing director, I think it's only fair that we continue to give you the recognition that the Board of Supervisors and other organizations within the county have given you. In the few short years that I have known you, it has been a pleasure to work with you and to have you as a friend. Tuesday, we attended a little gathering at the planning department where Mr. Fincham was inundated with some parting gifts. I came empty-handed on purpose. One of the things that Mr. Fincham was asked over and over and over was, Mike, what are you going to do with all of your spare time? He finally turned around and wrote it down on a board behind him. Honeydews. Mr. Fincham, I didn't have a gift for you, but I do have a gift for Mrs. Fincham. And if you would be so kind as to look on the shelf underneath the podium, you will find a package.
She doesn't need any help.
No. I have given Mrs. Fincham a ream of legal-sized paper that you would use in a copy machine. And it is for her to use to write down your honeydews. Hopefully that will be a year's supply. If not, please have her contact me and I will see that she gets another year's supply. But again, thank you for all you have done for the county, for the citizens, and for the commission, and for the planning department. 31 years, and he's done it faithfully, honestly, and diligently. And I'd just like to give you a round of applause, if you don't mind. Thank you. Now I've embarrassed you enough.
Thank you.
Mr. Fincham, you and I have gone down a long time to bring up now changes in zoning that you and I changed 15 years ago. I want to say it has always been a pleasure working with you. You never stepped on my toes. You never stepped on my nose. You always made it a lot of fun. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to say thank you, Mike, because out of those 31 years you've served the county, I've known you most of those years, just because I was coming to Board of Supervisor meetings, at first, but we got to know each other over the years, and you haven't changed a bit. Still as great as ever. So thank you so much. Always welcome to visit.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I want to thank you all because to be honest with you, the Planning Commission, both this iteration and previous iterations has made my job very easy, to be honest with you, over the years. I've enjoyed working with you, each and every one of you. But I will also say I'm looking forward to retirement. And for the next year or two, any issues that you have to deal with that are problematic, go ahead and blame it on me. It's good.
Mike, before you go, I'd like to piggyback on what you just said. For the last 20 plus years of knowing you, it's been a tremendous pleasure. You've tremendously helped us, this entire county, and me specifically. Projects that I couldn't get done. But the old cliche would say, if you can't beat them, join them. So now I have joined you all. So thank you so very much for all that you have done for us.
Thank you.
And Mike, I'm going to call your wife and make sure that she gets that package.
No problem.
Thanks again. Mr. Hughes, you have 31 years to go, sir. All right. Approval of minutes, we have none at this time. Is there any unfinished business? There being no unfinished business, we'll move on to item 3A, special exemption. Champion Domain Beverly Run LLC owner, Warriors Heart of Virginia LLC applicant. Mr. Pennington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As an update, the Planning Commission attended site visits for a tour of the facility and how the facility will be utilized. Warriors Heart has provided a list of certifications and licenses as requested that are included in your packet. And the Office of Drinking Water and an AOSE have been scheduled for the certification of the facilities as requested by the Planning Commission at the last meeting. The conditions have been updated in verbiage only. The rest of the conditions remain the same. We just did some clarification on the wording in those 10 conditions.
Thank you, sir. Would the applicant care to speak at this time? If not, all right. I do have one question of the applicant, and that is in your paperwork, you indicated local licensed providers. And considering how far down in the boonies you are, what are we referring to when we say local licensed providers? What pool do we have to pull from?
Yes, Mr. Chairperson, Angel Lugo, Chief Strategy Officer, Compliance Officer for Warriors Heart. The pool we're referring to in local is the county area and the surrounding counties. Already, we have done interviews with many licensed professionals who actually live on or off Sparta Road.
Okay, so that would be like clinicians or...
In this case, they're licensed nurses.
Okay, very good. And just one point of clarification. If you have a client who is adamant about leaving, you try to do an intervention. What's the period of that intervention?
So our standing operating procedures is the moment we have any indication of a client wanting to leave, against our advice, is to immediately understand the crisis and begin de-escalation procedures, which is part of our staff training. The clients have agreed to in advance that if they come to that point, that they would give us 24 hours notice in writing before they would leave. we would follow the state regulations on when they would leave. But normally is, hey, sleep on it. I agreed to sleep on it. In the morning, I'll give you my decision. By that time, almost always it's a de-escalation and a change of mind.
All right, so, and I was just wondering, certainly at your Banderas, Texas location, I'm assuming that there have been times when someone wanted to leave prior to the completion of the program. And am I correct in assuming that you have been successful in most cases of intervention?
Yes, if I may continue, Warriors Heart, unlike many other rehab facilities, has a completion rate of about 90%. Your average rehab facility across the nation, specifically for alcohol and drug treatments, is a completion rate of 65% or less. Our success rate is extremely high. That comes because of the staff work that we do and the commitment that our clients actually do have before they reach a point of distraction and think they may need to. So we apply our de-escalation techniques, and we're very successful almost 90% of the time.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any other commissioner have a question? All right. We have all visited this site. We have all spoken with the parties involved. To say that I'm impressed favorably is putting it mildly. It really is. I think that in totality, you're going to find that the entire county is going to be behind you. Even though some people, not to your face, will voice concerns, they will voice concerns to us. We answer those concerns as best we can. If not, we come to you for the answers. I look for the good and the bad in everything because I know that there is a negative somewhere. And I must say, I did find one glaring negative that you suffer from, and that is that you're not in operation today.
Agreed.
So I got you. You breathe a little sigh of relief. Okay. I told other people that I was going to do that to you because I know you had the wind knocked out of your sails once before, but it was for cause. Yeah, just ask you to trust me on that.
I think it's well needed, and I'm glad that it's potentially coming to the county.
Absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
So whereas special exception request 02-2023 for Warriors Heart appears to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, and whereas the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practices warrants approval of this request, I recommend that 02-2023 be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation for approval.
Second.
Second. Come on, Richard. Everybody second it.
Second. Well,
A motion has been made by Dr. Horton to recommend approval. It has been seconded by everyone on the commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations.
God bless you
move
guys.
to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you. Next on the agenda is RZ 01-2023, Woodlawn Belmont LLC owner, Burley Residential Land LLC applicant. Ms. Niels Cosby, do you wish to say anything? Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up. Got ahead of myself.
Staff report, please.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, at the public hearing for this case, the commission decided to defer. Commission had questions regarding the proffers. We held a work session for clarification on the proffers. And so that's how we end up to where we are tonight, for you all to make a vote on this case. And I think as you were about to invite Ms. Cosby, the applicant's representative is here and certainly can answer any questions if the commission has any. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Ms. Cosby?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Ann Neal Cosby from Wiregill on behalf of the applicant. I don't have any additional comments. We are happy to answer any questions. I would just say we appreciate staff's time in working with us on this application. We appreciate the commission's time at their last meeting. We absolutely appreciate the work session that was called at our request on a short time frame, and that was granted, and we appreciate your time there. So we have nothing further to add, but just wanted to thank you.
It was our pleasure to accommodate you in any way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, commissioners, we did hold a work session on this matter a while ago. Do any of the commissioners have any further questions? Hearing none, is there a motion? If not, I will make a motion. Whereas rezoning request RZ 01-2023 for Woodlawn Belmont LLC owner, Burley Residential Land LLC applicant, appears to be generally inconsistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan and future land use map. And whereas the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practices warrants the denial of this request, I recommend that RZ 01-2023 be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of denial.
Second.
Second.
Motion has been made by the chair, seconded by Mr. Weaver and Mr. Young. Commissioners, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommendation of denial signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries for a denial of this request. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Next up for consideration is Text Amendment 10, 2023. Mr. Fincham.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, you have before you the final version of the planned innovation research and technology district regulations. The commission has been working on this for several months now, and we believe that we have massaged it to the point where we have a good product to go forward and present to the Board of Supervisors. You had a version that was sent to you earlier this week, and a copy is on your desk with some highlighted changes in yellow. Mr. Weaver met with staff and identified some changes to the architectural standards, as well as a couple of other provisions of the ordinance that we failed to incorporate into the version that was sent to the commission on Friday. So we have corrected that, and the yellow highlighted areas reflect the changes based upon our previous discussions with Mr. Weaver and other members of the commission. As the commission is aware, we have interest from a number of technology companies that are interested in the county. You will have a zoning or a comprehensive plan hearing later on tonight on a project that the county has been working with state and other partners off and on for over 3 years. Staff believes that the adoption of this ordinance is important as we go forward with these applications in the county. The applications can actually come in under the M1 zoning district right now or the planned industrial park. However, those districts have a lot of other uses that could creep in a rezoning application as well that staff believes are not necessarily desirable mixes with these technology uses. And we certainly don't want to experience the bait and switch that we've seen with other applications before.
Thank you, sir. Staff commissioners have any questions?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Fincham. So this map dated June 13th is still good here?
That's for the public hearing later on tonight.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So if you adopt the zoning district regulations, and when you consider either a rezoning or a comprehensive plan amendment related to the technology uses, the Planned Innovation Research and Technology District would be the appropriate district to consider for a rezoning and not the M1 or the planned industrial.
So this would be the next step.
That would be the next step. And later on, you also actually have a rezoning application.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you say that one.
Mr. Fincham, section 1, second paragraph, you are deleting the word close. Property shall be located in proximity. Well, yeah, that's nearness and space, time, and relationship, and it's kind of subjective. Who's going to determine whether it's in proximity?
Board of Supervisors.
Okay. That answers that. And I had just a few more because I kind of put your feet to the fire in your last comment, Pat.
You sat down and read it, didn't you?
What,
Yes, I
what
did.
page was that first question on?
That was on first page, section 1, second paragraph with word close.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Page 3 on D, backup energy. Wouldn't that include battery storage?
Potentially, yes, sir.
Okay. And rooftop solar energy structures, they would have to have the battery backup storage as well.
Yes, not necessarily.
Okay.
Okay, it really depends on how the system is set up. It could very well be that any rooftop energy produced by the rooftop solar is directed to an energy backup system. It's entirely possible, but not necessarily.
Okay, thank you. I did have a couple of questions on the setbacks, section C. Minimum building setback, right, shall be 100 feet,
Yes, sir.
except that 1 additional foot shall be provided for each increase in building height of 1 foot in excess of 100 foot. So contemplating buildings in excess of 100 feet in height?
Potentially, depending on the design of the structure or the facility. And for that reason, we felt it was important to incorporate a greater setback.
Right.
If in the event there is a structure proposed that exceeds 100-foot height limitation. So for example, and this is example only, it's not saying it's going to happen. If you had a 150-foot tall structure it would have to be set back an additional 50 feet beyond the 100-foot setback requirement. So it's a 1-for-1 setback.
Okay, very good. And if they have any rooftop panels or anything to conceal the rooftop structures such as AC units or whatever, I remember reading in here, if those panels are 10 feet in height, that would not be considered part of the height of the building, or would it?
That has been modified per our discussions, that yes, that height is included in the building height and is included in the screening requirement related to those accessory units.
All right. And page 7, minimize the disturbance of wildlife habitats. Who's going to make that determination?
That they're under these regulations, they are required to do a wildlife management study. There were guidelines that are published by the state that for solar projects, which take up large tracts of land. We felt that those same standards were appropriate for this type of use. So we've incorporated that wildlife management study requirement to state standards into our ordinance. And those recommendations from that study would be used to evaluate the land clearing, corridor preservation, et cetera.
Okay. Well, I thank you, sir. I think you pretty well hit all the nails that I had sticking up. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Any other of the commissioners have any questions?
Yes, I would like to compliment staff. As you guys know, I do architecture for a living still. And I went through all the changes that have been made on this in reference to the architectural standards. And this works out perfectly with what I anticipate can be built and what should be built. So thank you to staff.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Okay. If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Whereas the public necessary amendment to general welfare and zoning practice want to improve TXT -10 2023. I recommend that.
Can you turn your mic on, Mr. Minor?
Whereas the public necessary convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practice want and approve of TXT -10-2023. I recommend that to be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors if approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minor, seconded by Mr. Young and Mr. Weaver. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. We will now have a public hearing on text amendments 12, 2023, 13, 2023, and 14, 2023. Each of these will require a separate vote. Mr. Pennington.
Public hearing protocols.
Sir, please.
Purpose of a public hearing is for Caroline County Planning Commission to listen carefully to the verbal expression of position and opinions from the citizens of Caroline County. Public hearings are not question and answer sessions or debates, and all statements should be addressed to the chair. When members of the public offer comment, they need to clearly state their name and voting district prior to making their comments. Applicants or representatives of the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to introduce information regarding the matter advertised for public hearing. All comments are to be pertinent to the issue being considered. Persons speaking at public hearings are respectfully requested to keep comments brief, not to exceed 3 minutes, and to address only those issues pertinent to matters advertised for public hearing. After the public hearing has been closed, the applicant or representatives of the applicant will be allowed 10 minutes to address any issues identified by the public.
Thank you, Mr. Pennington.
All right, TXT 12-2023, Special Events Facility Definition. Staff is bringing forward a text amendment to address the definition of special events facility. Standards have been adopted by the Planning Commission regarding ticketed events being allowed for special events facility. Therefore, the definition needs to be amended to include this change, as well as a previous typo that was in the definition. The current definition, special events facility, a facility where private weddings and parties and other similar events which shall not be open to the public. The proposed definition, special events facility, a facility where private weddings and parties and other similar events occur which shall not be open to the public. A permitted special events facility may host up to 4 ticketed/public events up to 4 times a year with approval from the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, sir. Public hearing for text amendment 12-2023 is now open. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Final call, is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none coming forward, public hearing on this matter is closed. Commissioners, what be your pleasure? Do you have any questions?
Well, I think we've discussed this on and off at meetings for a while. It's, a request has been to have events, ticketed events at these.
Yes, it has been.
I think it came up when, wasn't it,
Sullivan?
the schools, maybe,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the schools wanted to have an event, but, so, I mean, I think the limitations here are good. 4 events, and the amount of participants stays the same as a wedding.
All of the conditions that are currently on a special events facility would remain on those special events facility. This would just allow them to have up to 4 ticketed events a year, which would be, or open to the public events, which would be something as a craft show or a casino night or something like that.
Any additional questions by commissioners?
I can, if there's no questions, I can make a motion.
Please.
Whereas the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practices warrants the approval of text amendment 12-2023, I recommend that 12-2023 be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Horton, seconded by Mr. Minor and Mr. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Text Amendment 13-2023, staff is requesting that this be deferred to the July 27th, 2023 meeting. There is no staff report in the packet. So I make a motion that we defer this matter until our July 27th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Chair, seconded by Mr. Williams, Mr. Weaver. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Text Amendment 14-2023. Mr. Pennington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. At the February 2023 Planning Commission meeting, TXT 02-2023, which lowered the required acreage for a rural resort from 200 acres to 150 acres. At the May 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting, the Board of Supervisors motioned to send the text amendment back to the Planning Commission to add standards for rural resorts. Staff has crafted new standards for the rural resort in addition to the existing standards that are currently in place. The changes to the standards in place, minimum acreage was lowered from 200 to 150 acres. Number 4, the chart was amended to add the 150 to 199 acres category, and it matches the other categories for the unit number. The other new standards are the property owner shall notify the Department of Planning and Community Development of any change in ownership within 14 days of recordation. Maximum stay in a rural resort shall be limited to 30 days in a 60-day period, not to exceed 180 days in a calendar year. The owner shall keep a register of guests and the time of stay and make available to the Planning Department upon request. Any structures used for overnight stays will not be visible from neighboring properties or public right-of-ways. The minimum size for freestanding structures utilized for overnight stays shall be 210 square feet if utilizing a community bathroom, a minimum of 280 square feet if each unit contains a bathroom, and a maximum of 350 square feet.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pennington, we have had the standards for rural resorts since September of 2014, I believe.
That is correct.
And how many applications for a rural resort have we had in those years?
We have one that is in application right now, and other than that, we have not had any applications for a rural resort in the last 9 years.
Okay.
What was which of the resort that we approved near on Jump Devil Road? What was that?
That was
Did that come under?
retreat, I believe.
That came under retreat, not resort.
No, that was a rural resort. The Planning Commission did approve that. However, it has not been heard by the Board of Supervisors at this time. And so that is our one applicant, the one that is currently still in application for a rural resort.
Oh, okay. Still hadn't gone forward.
No, ma'am.
So that is the only applicant that we have had when Mr. Duquette was here.
Yes, that's correct. That's the only applicant we've ever had for rural resort.
Now, so we don't know if this will or will not affect them?
So this would go to the Board of Supervisors as well. I believe that the board would wait for this to get to them before they would act on that rural resort.
Because I'm noting that the structures, when we visited it, the structures where people are going to live, I guess, I'm not sure. I mean, they were visible as you drove down the driveway, the kind of bunk houses, whatever you want to call them. I don't think they were visible to neighbors. When the leaves fall, I don't know if they were visible from the public road or not.
If they're going to utilize any existing structures and they are visible from the road, then they would be required to plant evergreen trees to screen those structures.
Okay.
Wasn't his application under therapeutic retreat?
Originally, it came in as a therapeutic health facility, and it came for its first public hearing as a therapeutic health facility. However, after discussion with the Planning Commission, it was decided that it more fit a rural resort than a therapeutic health facility. And so the application was amended, and he came back for another first public hearing as a rural resort.
And because he had less than 200 acres, hence this text amendment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Be kind of wrong for us, I think, on one hand to approve or recommend approval of what he wanted, with less than 200 acres. And on the other hand, on this, to deny it, because that's going to wash away the first approval that we did, wouldn't it?
If this text amendment were to fail, then his application would not meet the requirements for a rural resort. However, if you denied it, the Board of Supervisors would still act on it. And so it wouldn't kill the application at this time, but the board would have to approve this text amendment in order to allow for that rural resort to continue.
Okay. Thank you.
Could you explain that?
Commissioners,
Saying that,
Could you explain that, please, Mr. Chair?
go ahead, Mr. Penny. All right. I think what we've got is, on one hand, we gave Mr. Duquette and the site that we visited approval to the Board of Supervisors to go ahead with a rural resort, wasn't it?
That's correct. The text amendment came to you guys to lower the acreage from rural resort to 158 contiguous acres. That application had 178 acres. And then you approved the rural resort application for Mr. Duquette. Both of those will have to go to the board, and the acreage would have to be lowered via text amendment for the board to be able to approve the rural resort.
So
If we were to vote-
we'd have to reduce the area
From
required.
currently, the rural resort standards are at 200 acres for a rural resort. And the text amendment that you approved in February lowered that number to 150, which allowed the application to move forward.
So we've already approved 150.
You did, however, the Board of Supervisors sent that text amendment back down to have standards added to the standards
So
already
this
in
is-
place.
So
this-
they sent it back.
Yes.
So actually, we approved what he had, and we approved him having 150 acres. But the Board of Supervisors wants the text amendment that talks about the 150 acres to be revised, which is
to have more standards added.
more standards. So that's what we're looking at here.
Yes, and
So,
we adjusted the chart under number 4 because previously it was 200 to 249 acres. And so we added the 150 to 199 acres and lowered the number of units for that acreage to 20 units, which matches the other acreage. If you look at the maximum number of the acreage, the number of units matches 1 unit per 10 acres, which also matches the RP zoning district. And then standards 9, 10, and 11 were added on the back page.
So, and the
And 12
standards
and
were
12.
the standards were included in this.
Yes, so standards 1 through 3, well, standards 1 through 8 were already in place. We adjusted 1 with the acreage. We adjusted 4, the chart to add that to adapt to that acreage. And we added 9 through 12.
so number 9, maximum stay, 30 days in a 60-day period. That's per guest.
That would be per guest, and that is to limit anyone from trying to use a rural resort as a permanent address. If you reside in a place for 90 days, you can start using it as a permanent address.
Do you need to specify per guest?
We can add per guest in there if you would like.
I mean, because, it makes it a little more clear, because otherwise you look at it and you wonder, does that mean the resort, can only be open a certain amount of days? So the per guest would be 60-day period, right after the word period, per guest,
Okay.
not to exceed.
Not to exceed 60
I
days.
guess that's where it would go.
Shall be
Does that make
30
sense,
days.
Yes.
Mr.
Per
Penning?
guest.
Yes. Yes.
Doing- Carol, you're doing 30 days per guest.
In a 60 day
30
period.
in a 60-day period.
Per guest.
Days
Per guest. Yes.
Yeah. Right after the word period,
Gotcha.
per guest, comma, not to exceed. So it's not indicating that's how many days the resort can be open. That's indicating how much each guest can stay.
Number 11,
Yes, sir.
explain that.
So the rural resort could utilize rooms inside of a lodge type structure, a main structure, or they could utilize individual cabins for the overnight stays at the rural resort. What number 11 is stating is that any structures used for overnight stays, whether it be a main lodge type structure or whether it be individual structures to house guests, would need to be not visible from the right of way, from the road, and from any neighboring property. So if they were currently visible as the property stands in the state it is today, then the applicant, if they got approval, would need to provide screening via evergreen trees along the right of way to shield any type of overnight stay structures.
So there is a large house on the property, so that the house, I think, is visible from the road. So that has to be screened.
The way this is worded, if the house was to be used for overnight stays, if you could stay in one of the rooms in the house, then the house would need to be screened from the road.
Because I think they mentioned something about that might be a possibility in the future.
I can't remember if it was visible from the paved surface of the roadway.
I'm pretty sure the house was the brick house,
Yeah,
but maybe not those buildings off to the side, which those could
they were
easily
down in
be screened anyway. Those like kind of bunk houses, cabin houses.
I just don't recall on the main house.
There's a long driveway.
Yeah.
That was on Spider Road, wasn't it?
Huh?
Was that on Spider Road?
No,
It's on,
sir. Devil Street
yeah,
Jump Road.
Devil's.
Devil Street Jump.
Gotcha. With the
Thank
gate- with
God.
the gate.
I mean, I guess trees along the road would hide it. I mean, I don't know.
We use evergreen trees to screen, structures and parking all the time. And so obviously it's not going to screen it when they're first planted. But the idea would be that within 5 to 10 years of growth that you should have evergreen trees tall enough to screen that.
Well, I mean, but it looks like on number 11, it's got to be immediate. It can't be visible immediately. Could they get trees tall enough to hide it immediately?
Probably not immediately. We can specify more if you'd like. However, when we deal with a lot of special events facilities have to have screened parking and things like that, it just states that you have to provide screening in a double row of evergreen trees or a single row of evergreen trees. And we allow them to plant the 3 foot or 4 foot, and then within a couple of years, they've grown up.
So I'm not sure if that needs to be specified or not.
I think it should be, Carol. I think what was just stated is, in other words, if we say just treed, okay, I can put trees 10 feet apart. There is no, based on what we have here now, it says any structure used for overnight stay shall not be visible from neighborhood properties or right-of-ways. We have no description there how we're going to do that. And I think a description, Craig, should be added to that as to what kind of planting we want. Okay, distance apart. Now, you're right, Carol, we always had the 2 rows, okay?
Yeah,
One in the front, then we offset the next set, and one in the front, offset. I think we need some kind of description here for what we're going to do to hide these buildings.
If the commission would like, you could defer this text amendment and staff can clean it up a little bit and bring it back in July.
I think that's the way to handle it, Carrie, because I think at this particular stage, I understood exactly what you said, but if we don't do tree, and a tree over here,
yeah.
it's not going to
But
come.
I mean, at the same time, I'm wondering, I mean, I think we need to do it, but at the same time, I remember within the last 3 or 4 years, we took it away from some, what was it, industrial buildings or warehouses? I can't remember.
Yeah, you're right. We did.
I don't
but
know why
think
we took it away.
I think what we did is we set the buildings further back from the street and allowed that trees to disappear. Because we figured it was far enough away from the roadway that you wouldn't see it anyway. But I think, Craig, I would like to, Mr. Chair, I think I'd like to,
Before you make a motion, the public hearing needs to be open.
okay.
We're now open to public hearing for text amendment 14, 2023. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Third and final call. Anyone wishing to speak on text amendment 14, 2023? Seeing no one coming forward, public hearing is closed. Commissioners, what be your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to defer this until next month's meeting, because I think we have to be able to describe or indicate what we want the screening to look like. And I would ask staff to go back and provide that kind of data to the applicant.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, they've got woods surrounding them. It could be woods, but if not, it could be
It could be grass.
evergreen. Yeah,
Yeah,
in some cases.
we'll revisit those standards and bring back in July. Are there any other concerns with the standards there? Any other standards that you would like to see there that staff can add before we bring this back in front of you in July?
The only concern I had was the 200 acres, but we have previously amended it to the 150 acres to accommodate that one applicant. And commissioners, I don't like moving goalposts, but we did it
I know we did.
because that just opens the door for someone who has 110 acres to come in and say, I want to do the same thing, and you've moved the goalpost for one person already. So
I think we moved it because the neighbors came in and said they would prefer that because, you know, they were afraid it was going to become a subdivision or something like that.
Yeah.
And so the neighborhood wanted it. Nobody was against it. And we had about 3 or 4 people
Yes, we
speak
did.
for it. And so that was a consideration.
okay, I just hope we haven't shot ourselves in the foot with that one. If we did, we did. We'll
Yeah.
bandage it up and hobble on down the road. All
Well,
right, do we have a motion by
Board of
Mr. Weaver?
Supervisors got it.
Motion by Mr. Weaver to defer. Is there a
I
second?
second it.
Seconded by Mr. Minor and Mr. Young. All those in favor of deferring to
Aye.
July 27th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Text amendment is deferred till July 27th. Our next order is the 2030 Comprehensive Plan Amendment. Mr. Fincham.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, your next public hearing is an amendment to the 2030 Comprehensive Plan, which would amend Chapter 8, which is a land use chapter, and the future land use map to establish the Guinea Station growth area, and to define and establish the planned innovation, research, and technology development area within the Guinea growth area, as well as to amend the county's future land use map to include the Guinea area as a growth area in the comprehensive plan. You have a brief summary of the purpose of this amendment. This amendment is in support of an economic development initiative and a partnership between Caroline County, Spotsylvania County, the Fredericksburg Regional Alliance, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and Rappahannock Electric. This economic development initiative has been in the works for a number of months and has resulted in this very narrowly tailored comprehensive plan amendment in support of a technology development on the subject properties. We actually have the rezoning application from AWS that has been filed that is related to this comprehensive plan amendment, which will be brought forward to the Planning Commission within the next couple of months. But the first step of that process is the establishment of the Guinea Station growth area specifically for planned innovation research and technology developments. The comprehensive plan amendment is very specific as to the parcels that are included. Unlike the previous comprehensive plan amendment that the Planning Commission considered for a planned innovation, research, and technology development, this plan amendment does not involve the extension of public utilities extensively throughout the county. The utilities would be provided by Spotsylvania County, and the boundaries of that utility extension are clearly tied to the growth area boundaries that are identified in the proposal. And with that, I'll address any questions that the commission may have.
Just sounds like a win-win to me, to be honest with you. We do not have to provide the utilities. So
and all these entities have been talked with?
Yes, ma'am. They have been involved in the discussions.
Okay. It's, I think we did. It is about along Stonewall Jackson Road. It's about, we talked about it.
At
I
the
think
farm up there,
Huh?
at the farm that's up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Auroch.
That's part of the farm. that's
And
up
it's
there.
about a mile? Is it not quite a
Yes.
mile?
It's about a mile from the Spotsylvania County line to the easternmost property boundary. That's correct.
Yeah.
Right,
And
that's-
so it's a mile right there. That's the shortest.
Right, that's the farm up
And
there.
the longest might be 1, 2, 3.5 or something to the back.
Yes. Yes,
On,
ma'am. That's correct.
Yeah, on the southwest.
Okay.
The plan amendment is very parcel specific. In part because we do not want to provide for expansion opportunities in this area. So it was very.
Yeah, I don't want to
narrowly
get out of
provided.
hand.
Correct.
Yeah. But it's very close to 95, and the potential for good tax money, I would think with the right applicant.
Carol, this is up by the farm. Remember the farm right over there?
Yeah, it's in my district.
Yeah, I know you know where the farm is.
Yeah, it's Oric property.
There you go, or its property. I didn't use any words you told me.
It's diagonally across from the racetrack. It's a pretty noisy area,
A big sized piece of land.
thanks to Spotsylvania. But I will say that I know truck stops have eyed the area, and that's not a good thing to have there. I mean, and the road there is, that leading into it is, this would be minimal traffic. I mean, I like everything to stay rural, but I mean, this is near 95.
Right.
We
Distance
need,
from
we
95
need
is close.
some big entity to be, that doesn't have a lot of traffic and doesn't cost us a lot of money, but gives us a lot of money. Most of the land is cleared, I believe, most of it, but not all of it. Am I correct, Mr. Fincher?
Most of it has been cleared, yes, ma'am. The environmentally sensitive areas have not been disturbed. Typically, you see that in rural lands. The unusable property is remained, is left in its natural state.
Which would be the green.
Yes, ma'am.
So this amendment, Michael, is being done because somebody's actually interested in developing that piece of land that's there.
Yes.
Okay, just,
And we already have the highway corridor set up there, correct?
That is correct. This development would be subject to the highway corridor overlay provisions as well as the zoning district regulations.
okay.
It's about, I would say this is about, not quite 8 miles from the little village of Guinea. So we wouldn't want this to get out of hand.
But it's on the other side, Carol, so it should be safe, okay?
No, it's on the same side. It's about 7 miles from the railroad tracks, which is where you have the Stonewall Jackson death site.
That site,
And that's where, and then the little village of Guinea is.
right there.
Mm-hmm. But you have to go kind of over, and this is kind of higher, I would say, in elevation.
Yes.
Then you'd have to go over a little knoll and come down into the village of Guinea, which might give them a little more rural effect. Yeah, and they are about, I would say about, well, the village of Guinea, I'd say closer maybe to 5 miles from this. And Route 2, probably 8 miles.
That would be about right. Yes, ma'am. And under this proposal, as it's currently designed, you can't expand the growth area boundaries without amending the comprehensive plan
Good.
to do that. You can't extend public utilities outside of this boundary without the extension of an amendment of the comprehensive plan and a determination by the Planning Commission that those public utilities are consistent with the comprehensive plan.
And Spotsylvania is probably only going to sell us so much water anyway, at this point, at least.
I think that's a valid statement to make. Yes, ma'am.
Somewhere I thought I saw it written how many acres total this is. Do you know, Mr. Fincher?
Actually,
Just as distances, I didn't see any area of land.
Yeah. The road frontage is not quite a mile, and then
yeah, I did not include the acreage in the, let's see.
somehow I thought I saw it somewhere at one point.
Oh.
I was thinking it was under 500,
No, it's more than 500.
more than 500.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. More than 600,
Yes.
700?
You're probably
getting
up in the 900 to 1,200 acre range,
Okay.
but that's consistent also with the zoning application and with the an accessory zoning application that will follow.
So let's go with 1,000 acres because you've got to take out the green. I don't know that they can do something with the green. the resource sensitive, the environmental constraint?
It would be limited what they could do in that area. That is a combination of 100-year floodplain and your Chesapeake Bay preservation areas, which are activities within those areas are prescribed by those respective ordinances.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the Matta River there.
Yes, that's correct. $1,385 is your total acreage.
Oh, okay, good.
But that's including the environmental.
Any environmentally sensitive, yes, sir.
So, and that environmental is about
100%.
about close to a mile long by 3/4 a mile wide at the largest. Plus you got some shoot off.
So we vote on a public hearing for this?
I think we have to have public hearing, correct?
Yes, you've not had your public hearing yet.
So we need to authorize for a public hearing?
No, this is your public hearing.
Okay,
You authorized a public hearing at your
that's right, we did.
last meeting.
I can't remember what I did yesterday. You want me to know what I did last week?
I'm here to help.
Okay, boss. It's time to ask if anybody wants to talk about the public hearing.
All right, commissioners, are there any additional questions, concerns, discussion?
Not for me at this point.
So I have no issues with it, sir.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Oh, no.
Public hearing.
Public hearing, Bob.
We do a public hearing on this. I thought,
Bob, you going to sleep? It's a long meeting.
thank you, Mr. Finch. As long as I've got somebody to keep me straight. Public hearing will be comprehensive plan amendment regarding Guinea Station is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Please come forward, state your name and your voting district, please.
Good evening, Faith McFadden, Mattapanai District. Like most of the projects that we've seen, I'm wondering how folks know about this. It sounds like there's been a lot of groups involved. I'm wondering when the rest of us get that information. I did the best I could to try to read about it from your land use applications. I saw 900 and some acres. I didn't know it was 1385. It just seems like we've seen with other applications, these folks are well-resourced. They get into the county early and they lay a lot of groundwork that the rest of us don't know about, maybe you all included. So my one question is, when do we get the rest of the info that these groups are providing and talking about? I know these areas are really hard to see on a map. Caroline, to me, feels huge. When I look at it on a map of Virginia, I'm like, no, that can't be us right there. I did want to say with the racetrack comment, when I drove down that road, I believe when you're coming north on 95 to get off at Thornburg, the racetrack's right behind Sheets. If you make a right, I believe there are houses before you get down to this project. And I did see fields that look like they're currently planted, so I don't know what that is considered in terms of clearing. I know, again, it's hard. We've got a big county. You all have lives and things to do just like everyone else. It's hard to know exactly what this is, but I would encourage you, if at all possible, just to drive the roads around it. That's what I do. I just try to find it on a map and drive whatever back roads we have around it just to see what it looks like in that area. I don't quite understand how it works with the comprehensive plan amendment versus rezoning. My concerns are that this would be better through rezoning, but it sounds like maybe we do this first and then it goes to rezoning, and that's when adjoining properties get notification and things like that. I'm not sure about that. Quite frankly, I think it's a little insulting. They don't even show up to talk about their project at your public hearing. I don't know why they're not here. It sounds like there's surely enough of them that someone could be here to speak to it. But I guess that's their prerogative. And maybe there's a reason for that. I don't understand, but it seems like most of the applications, they at least try to give us some information about their project and at least come to the meeting. These folks don't seem interested in that from what I see on my side of this. Of course, I'm just one person. So again, maybe I don't understand it. Maybe there's more I don't see, but like most of these projects, it doesn't seem very transparent. I don't know how folks in the area know. It does seem closer to development than some of the other projects we've seen. So I'm thankful for that piece. I do have the concerns about it being up against the river and the wetlands and all those things that we talk about often. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. McFadden. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, Mary Hodge, Bowling Green District. I'm shocked at how few people are here, and that you guys don't even realize it's the Oric Farm. It's 1,000 acres. And I was quite dismayed back in January with a premonition when I read the news release about Governor Youngkin announcing plans with Amazon to invest billions of dollars to establish multiple data center campuses across Virginia by 2040. Why should we allow Amazon free rein in Virginia, let alone our county? It is not a Virginia-based company, and one of its largest corporate shareholders is BlackRock, whose reputation itself is considered somewhat quite contentious, as I have heard. Our county board just approved rezoning for the Carmel Church area, which included the PERT designation in that already industrial zone region of our county. They did not grant approval for the rezoning to accommodate a data center in the rural Jericho and Hewlett Road area, west of Carmel Church, along the sensitive North Anna River and Hanover County battlefield. Residents in northern Virginia counties such as Fauquier, Prince William, Fairfax, and Loudoun have been protesting and opposing data center intrusion there. They have outreached their limit and welcome, exhausting land resources and sucking up vast amounts of electric and other utilities to the detriment of these communities' quality of life and environment, as well as compromising climate goals by permitting them to run emission-producing diesel generators during power shortages. Data centers demand huge amounts of electricity, water for cooling, and create a loud noise. No one wants them, and now they're trying to come here thinking they're getting a deal on cheap land. Plus, they employ virtually no one once built. I think after the last 2 years defending our county from the solar intrusion would teach us some lessons. Amazon and other ESG-invested data centers like to tout that their vast energy usage comes from so-called renewable energy. All I see is waste. Destruction of farm and forest land, and the price of losing our personal habitat, and most importantly, the infrastructure of our local economy and quality of life. Everyone I know was amazed at how Mr. Payne was able to get approval for Kalahari in Spotsylvania in just a matter of 2 months. And Spotsylvania just approved a rezoning for a data center north of Thornburg. Enough. I think Caroline County needs to think long and hard on this and allow citizens ample time for fair input. I saw absolutely no signage anywhere in the vicinity of the Oric Farm advertising this rezoning. Caroline does not destroy and defile our treasured land. We preserve and protect. And in fact, there was recently a lawsuit in Fauquier regarding the recent Amazon data center approved in Warrenton, where 130 local residents spoke against it until 2 in the morning, claiming the council approved the permit without disclosing all the information received, withheld thousands of pertinent documents, as well as council members violating the town's own comprehensive plan when they approved it. And this was only 220,000 square foot data center, not a 4.5 million square foot as proposed on this beautiful farm along the Matta River.
Thank you, Ms. Hodge.
Please do not Spotsylvania, my county. Do not approve the rezoning for Amazon data center on these 900 Caroline acres. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hodge. Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening. I'm Ira North, Port Royal District. Yeah, it's hard to top that, but Mr. Schwartz, you mentioned that you guys had moved the goalpost, and I ask you not to do that again. You know, just keep the goalposts at Spotsylvania County. They've made their decision. They've made their bed over there, and they've sold out to everybody. So just let them do that. Doesn't mean we have to do it. And I think Route 606 coming in there on the right-hand side where this is proposed is the top of the ridge before you drop down into the Matter River. On the other side of the road, it drops down to the Po River. And it's beautiful land. It's a beautiful farm. They planted it this year. And it's a beautiful way to enter Caroline County from that busy corridor off 95. And I think we need to keep it that way. Like one of these ladies said, she drives around the back roads and she tries to get a feel for the properties that are in question or proposed to have rezoned. I definitely would recommend that you do that. And then I'd recommend that you go up, you don't have to go far, go to Stafford County and see what they're doing up there with the Amazon centers. And then if you want to go for a real ride, go out 234 out to Prince William County and 28 and see what they've done with Micron and Amazon and iCloud HQ and all those data centers out there. And you talked about water and resources. Spotsylvania is not going to give you enough water to run that 4 million square foot data center. I'm a pipe fitter and a welder by trade, and we work at those places all the time. And they're all giant HVAC cooling towers. They use millions and millions of gallons of water a day. And I think really you guys are just kind of out of your league here. You just don't know what you're getting into to sell out to AWS and to let them put their data centers in the land. Not to mention everybody on Page Road, who I called many of those people this week to tell them about this hearing. Nobody knew anything about it. And their farms adjoin the Orock farm. They didn't know anything about this. They haven't had any notice. And they'll all be looking at 40 to 50 foot tall concrete precast walls circled with barbed wire. And it looks like a prison, basically, lit up at night with LED lights all over it with the giant Amazon smiley face looking at their property if you let this go forward. And it's a disaster and it shouldn't happen. There's a lot better uses for that land. Farming is the best one, but I realize it's right up against 95, like you said. And I realize, Mrs. Horton, what you said about money, that's kind of troubling because yeah, it will bring a tax revenue to the county, but it's not going to bring any jobs to the county because like 20 people work at those 4 million square foot facilities. Nobody works there once it's built. It only gives a handful of jobs for the square footage because it's all just computers and HVAC equipment. So I really ask you to think long and hard before you do this, and let's keep rural preservation land in Caroline County rural like it's supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter and seeing none come forward? Public hearing is closed. Commissioners, just keep in mind, this is not a rezoning. This is an amendment to the comprehensive plan. So we're not changing the zoning on any piece of property. Yes, sir, Mr. Fincham.
I'm just here to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, I just have a few comments because I like to try to keep the public informed because I've said this before. I've been coming to these meetings at least 30 years, you know, before I was commissioner and on some of the other boards. So it was a little easier to look in the Caroline Progress and know what was going on ahead of time. Now we have to rely on the county website and we have to rely on the Freelance Star, which is also mostly online. But public can stop by the planning office and get information ahead of time. I'm correct on that, right, Mr.
That's
Fincham?
correct.
Yes, they can get copies of things maybe a week before a meeting. Maybe.
Any actual zoning application, once it's filed, it's public.
Okay, but at least a week.
But in terms of like a staff report or something like that, those are available as soon as we send them out to the Planning Commission.
Yeah. And, you know, applicants can't come in until everything's in place. I mean, you can't have a public hearing on them. Well, I mean, it wouldn't make any sense until everything was in place because they can't apply right now. So that's why they're not here.
Yes,
Excuse me.
This comprehensive plan amendment was prepared by staff. It was not prepared by the applicant.
Yeah, so they can't do anything at this point until, you know, Caroline has a place for them to apply to go.
That is correct.
So that's why they're not here. The data centers do, I mean, we've been researching them quite a while. We've turned down one because it was about 6 miles off 95. But they have to be located at a place where there's water and electricity, large power lines, and water available. What I don't want to see in this area, I mean, by rights, there could be maybe 100 houses here. 1 per 10 acres is
That's correct.
a 10 acre. Yeah, and I mean, that's going to cost the county money. I mean, 100 houses could be 200 kids, 200 cars, 2 houses for, so I don't want to see, I mean, truck stops have been interested in that. You know, the ORC property has been discussed for years, and we've just been trying to keep it from something developing there that's going to cost the county. I would like to keep the whole county rural, but we do need some type of industry that's going to bring in money and not much traffic and not cost us much. We didn't really get any big solar farms. And nobody's applied for a solar farm. I mean, they cannot apply for solar farms,
That
right?
is correct.
At
The ordinance
this
has
point.
been repealed.
Yeah, it's been repealed, and they cannot apply for a solar farm on here right now. Houses are going up, and schools are asking for money, which is where, you know, the largest part of our budget goes. So I just,
$61 million this
yeah,
year.
we just need, and the schools, I mean, they come and ask for money every year.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Fitchman, I just wanted to address one thing with you, and that's about notification.
Yes,
We utilize the Freelance Star,
that is correct.
and that is the bare minimum required by state, I believe.
That is what is required by state law, yes.
When there is rezoning or special exemption, we also utilize signage.
As well as notice to affected property, abutting property owners.
Abutting property owners. It would be nice if we could do a mailing to every citizen in the county advising them of any action pending before the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors. That's unfeasible. We do the next best thing. We put it on the county website, and there is another site maintained by a county resident to keep people informed of what's going on. So those via the internet are openly available. There were some remarks at our March meeting that kind of got my dander up. And that is that people want instant gratification. They want to drive through McDonald's, get their hamburger, and go. They want everything delivered to them without them having to make an effort to find out what's on their hamburger. And I'm not speaking to these folks here, but to the public in general. It is incumbent upon them to also take an active part and seek out the information without it having been delivered at their doorstep. I speak for myself. I enjoy seeing the public fill up this auditorium because it tells me that the public is interested in the direction that their county is going in, just as we are. So it's not just the job of the planning department to give worldwide notice. Other people have to seek out that information as well. We're not going to deliver it to them in a brown paper bag with a napkin. Thank you, sir.
The supervisors, their phone number is published, correct? On the website, their county contact information.
Yes, at least their email addresses, I believe, are on the website.
I mean, before I was on any type of boards or commissions, that's what I used to do. Every now and then I'd call my supervisor, find out what's going on in my county. And that's their job, to answer those questions. That's our job too. But I mean, we're the minor leagues, they're the major leagues.
All right, all that being said, this is just an amendment to the comprehensive plan. It has no effect on rezoning. It has no special exemption effect. Commissioners, what be your pleasure? If not, I will make a motion. Whereas the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good planning, land use, and zoning practices warrants the approval of the proposed comprehensive plan amendment, I recommend that the comprehensive plan amendment be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Motion made by the chair, seconded by Mr. Young. Mr. Williams? I don't think there was an additional second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Fincham. Any and all matters? One last time, Mr. Fincham.
Mr. Chairman, you had a couple of proposed text amendments at your desk that staff has drafted for you to review and to discuss either at a work session next month or as new business next month. These amendments are related to the family subdivision regulations in the county.
Yes.
We're trying to clean up some discrepancies in the regulations, as well as to try to curtail potential abuse of the family subdivision regulations, since those regulations do allow greater densities than the general subdivision and zoning regulations of the county. So we provided those to you for you to start taking a look at, and we will discuss those with you further at your July meeting.
All right, thank you, sir. I think we can do maybe a 2-week preview on it, and if necessary, we could have a work session prior to our regular meeting. And if not, we can take it up during our regular meeting if there's not going to be any complications.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Let me just go ahead and say that I won't be here at the July meeting before I forget. So,
Okay.
Mr. Hughes, I won't be here in July, be on vacation.
Vacation, that's not allowed.
I can't do anything with her.
Should be good. Chair.
That only goes so far. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Make it so.
There's a motion for adjournment to our July
I make a
27,
motion that we-
2023 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Minor and Mr. Weaver. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.
It's not